Welcome into the Packers Corner. I got to pick wrong finally here, guys. I thought that was going to be our last chance to pick against the Green Bay Packers, so I pulled the trigger. I don't know. It worked, so we'll have to see what we're feeling tonight. But happy to get a Packers win. We're going to dive in, break that down. We got a Bears head coaching change. We got the Vikings eking another one out, and then, of course, a big game looms. Packers versus Lions. We'll break it all down here after the intro.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
It was named after Vince Lombardi. You play in Green Bay. As important as it is to any other team, it means more to us.
When he walked into the meeting, he looked us right in the eye. He said, "Gentlemen, we're going to relentlessly chase perfection."
My first thought was, on any play with my arm strength, I may not let anybody know this, but my first thought was home run. On every play. On every play.
He did what?
Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Well, the Cardinals couldn't pull another one out like that against the Vikings this week, unfortunately, but the Packers sure got things done. Schmitty, heck of a win for us this week. I see on the intro there we've got the vaunted wood paneling of the Larson basement there, and I think that's where we would have to all reconvene if there was a Super Bowl appearance. Did the Packers whooping up on the Dolphins have you feeling like that's a possibility here?
Griffey, I'm invigorated. I am excited about Packers football. I haven't been this excited, Griffey, since I was like in the second grade and I opened a base set first edition Charizard. I was jumping for joy. This is the Gar has been talking about one of these complete games. All right, we start 3 and out. It seems like this is a game that we're destined to lose. It was a trap game. The Dolphins were only a field goal underdog. We go 3 and out, and then what happens? We get the botched punt return. The guy doesn't move his feet; he just moves his arm. That's a definite no-no. As a punt returner, I would know I've scored a 95-yard touchdown in my lifetime. Griffey, we got to play that video at some point.
What were you doing fielding it at the 5, Schmitty?
Griffey, I let it bounce because I muffed the first one. So we won't get into that, Griffey. But once that happened, momentum's a real thing. I think we can all agree, and people that watch football and know football, the good-hearted Packers fans know that momentum is a real thing. And once that happened, we got momentum. That 3rd and goal, when we seemingly we needed a Jordan Love special play, what does he do? He throws an absolute dime to Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed with 2 touchdowns. It was more of the same, just like against the Niners, Griffey. The recipe now is that you have Josh Jacobs, and everyone can compliment Josh Jacobs. He is the focal point of the offense. We go as he goes. Jordan Love doesn't need to be the 50-pass guy with this offense, with this current setup. So I'm really, really excited that we have multiple ways that we can beat a team. And then, again, our defense shows up. They played absolutely phenomenal. Hafley with a great scheme for this very high flying potent offense in the Dolphins. We kept Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle in check. I was really impressed. This was a complete game, and no one really could convince me otherwise. Yeah, you even see our friend here, Mr. LVN, one that we haven't been so fond of. He's shown up now the last couple of weeks. So something's turning, Griffey. And not many people are talking about us. We just might be the dark horse, the darling, going into this playoffs.
Well, Matt LeFleur hasn't lost many times as the I think only twice as the Packers head coach in December. And as we round the calendar into that month, things are definitely looking up. Dad, do you write off the Finns being just a little bit too cold, or was just this everything clicking for us? We're coming together at the right time, and how would you chalk that up?
The team is starting to take on a definite identity. And finally, I think they're playing to the identity that Coach LeFleur wanted them to play to. If you look at it, all year long, he's been trying to take that opening kickoff, gash him with the running game, take half the first quarter off the clock and score, get in the lead, and let his defense play with the lead and just control the ball of the game by configuring the game in such a way that you limit the other team's possessions, you put them behind the 8 ball, and then you tee off and go after them. So, we were very critical of that because the Packers were taking the kickoff and not scoring, and then they were getting doubled up at halftime. But I think you're seeing what LeFleur has envisioned for this team. And gentlemen, this is LeFleur time. We are now in December. Coach LeFleur has about a 90% winning rate in December. And so things are about to get very interesting. And I tell you what, who may be the most slighted coach in the NFL is Matt LeFleur. He's nowhere to be found in the Coach of the Year polling, not in the top 8. Just ridiculous. It's unbelievable. What does this guy have to do? But anyway, we're not worried about that. All we want is to get Lombardi trophies, that Coach of the Year stuff. If they don't want to recognize his talents, that's fine and dandy. We'll just go on from there. But getting to be Matt LeFleur time.
I think you're absolutely right there, Dad. The Coach of the Year is the one who has the Lombardi, hoisted up in the locker room in February. That's who I want for our Coach of the Year. Schmitty, I'm glad to hear that you have such jubilation and you're feeling very rosy, my friend. You were rosy for a different reason a couple weeks ago, and my dad requested that we rehash an exchange you guys had a couple weeks ago. Let's take a listen for a few moments.
I will tell you this. We have 3 games coming up after the bye. We got the Bears, we got the Niners, and we got Miami. And I'm going to predict 3 wins right there. And then right after that, we head right back to Detroit. And watch out, boys. Watch out for that game in Detroit. So just a little prelude, Schmitty.
Yeah, we'll get into a little back half of the season talk
here.
here.
A little aloe vera on that scar on your right hand. We got to get that thing healed up for you. And then Nana's going to come over and give you a hug. She might come right now if you don't get your head out of your hands there. Schmitty, take another drink of your fingers. Your face is getting red.
Schmitty, hang in there. We can do it. There's hope for us.
Gar's going to make me lose it, Griffey. He can't be talking like this. He can't make these proclamations. He can't do it, Griffey. He's watching the same football we are, and he's saying that? That's so silly of him. Why would he do that to us? Why would he do that to Packers Corner?
Holy smokes, Schmitty.
We're watching the same stuff. The guy's thrown 30 interceptions this year already. He doesn't have it. We're going to lose games, Griffey. The season is over. Griffey, the season's going to be over because he's doing stuff that you can't do. We paid him so much money, and he's screwing us every week now.
Hey, Schmitty.
And I know we're 6-3, and I know we got good players, but he can't lead us. He can't get us there. That's what I'm thinking right now. Your
Schmitty,
dad says 3-0. What?
Let's talk about the money. Let's talk. Do you want Dak Prescott instead of Jordan Love? $60 million man.
Griffin, I know how much these guys cost. I do.
Do you want Dak? No, just picture Dak at the helm. Maybe we'll get Jerry Jones to buy the franchise. Do you want to be in that situation?
Griffey, you just gave us the kiss of death. You just put Jordan Love and Dak Prescott in the same sentence.
Do you want Trevor Lawrence?
Done.
How about Trevor Lawrence?
Done. We are now done. And you can loop him in there. You all in the same sentence.
Do we want Tua? Would you rather have Tua?
Now. Griffey, I know what you're doing, but it's not good. Yes, Griffey,
I'm just trying to calm you down. I don't want you going out on us on the stream here.
It's working. I would have Jordan Love over those gentlemen. Yes, I would.
That's good.
All right,
we got him back, Dad. He looks.
I would.
He's a human color again.
Cousins. You can have those guys too if you want to throw them in there. You can get from the Jaguars.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me, Gar, with a good time. I would take Kirk Cousins for the next 7 years, until he's 40.
7 years?
Yeah. I know what I said. I know what I said. Thank
have
you.
his ARP card by then. I know what I said. That was great, Schmitty. You were in rare form there, my friend. I think we can lay to rest both the Tua and the Kirk Cousins comparisons here now. Kirk threw 4 picks and no touchdowns for a crucial loss for the Falcons. I'm glad, like we said, you're a human color again now. You must feel better, I'm imagining.
Who was that person on the screen that we just showed? Has anyone watched this show once or twice to know the human yo-yo, the roller coaster ride that I mentally go through every time you and your dad just put me through the ringer here? Okay. Yes. Jordan Love, because now he's a healthy man. He has the mobility that we're all looking for, Griffey. All right. I'm back to base. Everyone take a still shot of this. You take a screenshot of this. You can make it your screensaver on your phone if you'd like. This is base color for your friend here, okay? This is what a happy Schmitty looks like, a content Schmitty with the Green Bay Packers organization. They know how to run a football team. They have a very good quarterback. This is that base color I'm talking about, Griffey. So as long as we maintain this, all right, we have the aspirations of a Super Bowl. And I know that we would love to go into the grounds, the lovely wood paneling that is the Larson basement, but
you weren't there last time, Schmitty. Do we bring you back? That might be a bad omen. You might have to watch, from outside the window or something.
Yeah, no, I got to be sent. I got to be sent very far south, Griffey. So far south, all right, that we're on a little place called Bourbon Street doing Packers Corner. That
would work out too. That would work out too.
All right. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But that's my aspirations for the season, because it rightfully so. We're now at that point knowing that Jordan Love can play games without turning the ball over. We've had 2 games, Griffey, that I talk about it a lot. Our success also weighs heavily on the turnover ratio. And if Jordan Love is throwing just abysmal picks, one like he threw against the Lions at the first half of the game, that kind of just put us out of that game. We really had no answer for that. You're not supposed to. But if Jordan can be mistake-free, then we have a shot at going up against the Goliaths in the NFL. All right? So I don't know who that person was on that you just showed up that video. That guy was very, very red. I'm much more lighter in color. Alter ego Schmitty. I don't know who you signed up. That was evil Schmitty. Maybe just a few weeks ago.
Your evil twin. Well, I like the guy we got with us here tonight, Dad. One of the things that we didn't get a lot of help with was from the other teams vying for potentially that bye in the NFC. As we look at the New York Times simulator for our chances to get a 1 seed are at 13%. Assuming we win out, they're at about 1%, when we don't guarantee a win out here. Does that impede our path here? And talk a little bit about what you saw around the division with the Cardinals eking out the Vikings and the Bears not quite getting it done against the Lions, if you would.
You know me, if I'm coach, there's no playoff calculators. There's blinders on the boys. There's blinders on the coaching staff. We got a game in Detroit in 2 days, and that's all that matters. You win that game in Detroit, and then you see what the chances are, and you take it week by week after there. So I don't concern myself with anything except that I said we were going to win 3 games in a row, and we're going to have a heck of a tussle going back in Detroit, and things might look a whole heck of a lot different. In a minute, we're probably going to get into some of the reasons why they look differently this time.
Well, I can tell you what things look like with a win against Detroit. They look like a 3% chance of a 1 seed, and we're going on the road.
I don't care about the analytics. I don't care about the statistics. Just give me a win. Give me 1-0 this week, and we'll take it from there. But this Viking team, now talking about analytics and statistics and so on, they're starting to look like the 2022 Vikings team that was 11-0 in 1-possession games and lost to the lowly, New York. The guy they got on their 4th-string taxi squad quarterback, Daniel Jones, beat him like a drum in that playoff game. So we'll see. Darnold's done a heck of a job. Give him his due. They got weapons. And, the Cardinals I just want to pull my hair out. You're watching that game.
Well, another analytics point there.
Yeah, well, okay, there you go. And they got an 18-6 lead, and they don't go for 2. And you're just going, what difference does that point make at this second half of the game? And then it's 19-16. They're on the 4-yard line with a chance to end the game, Griff. We got to play to end the game. If they don't make the play, the Vikings have to go 96 yards to score a touchdown to win the game. And on that 4th and 7, they never go for that. They kick the field goal, tie the game, and then the Cardinals have a chance to come back and kick the winning field goal either in regulation or overtime. But the point is, the game ends, and they never took the chance they had when they had to win the game. You have to do that on the road. What did this coach for the Cardinals go to the Matt Eberflus School of Coaching? It was unbelievable. So the Vikings, kind of squeak out again with one of these. I guess it's a W. They're all W's when you get the win, but I'm very, very nebulous about their chances going down the road, because at some point in time, you're not going to run up against a coach who's a knucklehead like that and doesn't take his chance to win. So I'm anxious to talk about this game. I like the Packers' chances in this game, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. But boy, it's December football, boys, and it'd be hard to be in a much better position considering the way the season has unfolded.
Well, and I do want to get into the Lions game, but Schmitty, let me throw you a couple questions first. I'm going to hit you with 2 if you can handle it. Pass rush. We traded away Preston Smith, and in Goody we trust. What have you thought about the pass rush since making that move? And then secondly, you got as the resident Bears sympathizer, you got to talk me through the end of the game situation for the Bears and the ousting of Eberflus that you told us was never going to happen. The Bears don't do that. What was going on there?
How in the world, 33 seconds, the time is clicking down, okay? And it gets to 5 seconds, and that's when the ball snapped. That is inexcusable. Even if Eberflus, he could have got to, once he realized that it was in a bad situation and Caleb didn't have the play call, he didn't have the team right, he could have called one even at 20 seconds and all would have been forgiven. But he had to let it go down to 10 seconds, 9, 8 seconds. How in the world do you do it? And that is
he trusted his quarterback.
Griffey, no, don't spin it like that. No, don't you spin it like that. Don't you spin it like that, Griffey, okay? Griffey, this kid has skill. He has the skills, Griffey. I told you, he's trying to transcend just a bunch of crap that is the Bears organization. Poles and Kevin Warren, they finally get their heads out of their butt, okay? And they get rid of Eberflus. They got rid of the offensive coordinator. They recognize what we see now, what you see, okay, that Caleb Williams is here to stay. He's a franchise quarterback and someone that you need to nurture and build around. All right. He has all the arm talent. So, yes, inexcusable, rightly so, that Eberflus got his walking papers. Now you get to see what this team, maybe not this year. I was talking previous weeks. The Bears can still play spoiler. They're still got some division foes on the schedule, us included. But that they could potentially win some ball games that would actually be meaningful to the Green Bay Packers. So, good thing that they got rid of their coach. I'm excited to see where Caleb Williams goes because I think he's really, really good. Now, pass rush. Preston Smith, Griffey, I'm totally fine. Wish that gentleman well. He did a lot of great things for the Packers. I always thought Zadarius Smith would outlast him, but no, it was Preston. Now, I think he was with us for, 5 seasons, and he really was a big contributor to why our defense looked so good for so many years and put us into some good positions in the playoffs. But he was worn. We've spent a lot of draft capital on the edge rush, right? So you need to see Lucas Van Ness. You need to see Rashawn Gary, Enigbare, Brooks. You need to see all these guys take a leap forward. And so you get rid of Preston Smith and you give them more opportunities. I'm totally fine with that. And yes, LVN's looked a lot better these last 2 games. I'm still not sold on the talent, Griffey, because as many times he made some decent plays, he also is doing the same run straight up the goalpost, 7 yards. The tackle barely has to put his left arm out on him, and he's covering him up. I just don't get it. I don't get who's teaching these guys on technique. I was really impressed, and we're going to call one guy out. Enigbare Griffey had a fantastic game against the Dolphins, and I would love to see him get starter snaps. And Matt LeFleur loves to do rotation, whether it's the wide receivers, the DNs. He's even mixed in some offensive linemen. Now, I would like for there to be a little more consistency as to, just like, you have a closer. We're in the month of October playing playoff baseball. There's guys that you need to start to rely upon. And so I'm curious to see, now that we're in December, a record that LeFleur has had really good success in this month, you start to pick the guys that you can trust to win football games. And so I'm curious, we all should be, as to who he thinks when it comes time to it, and it's you're in the bunker, who are you about to go to war with?
I think that's a great question. We'll have to ponder that as we talk about this Lions game. I do want to move into that one, and you mentioned Za'Darius. Of course, we get to see him this week as part of this pivotal matchup. Dad, looking back at the last Lions game in the rain, in the cold a little bit, with a hurt Jordan Love and a poor pick six right before half, we didn't quite have enough. Does all it take for us is just a little bit better performance, or do we have to do something fundamentally different? Was that maybe not the Lions' best showing either? How do you feel we match up against this team that's number 1 in the NFC?
I'm just kind of looking at the gestalt of the whole season here, gentlemen. And we had to suffer through several of the first, third of the season almost, with a rookie kicker who quite possibly cost us 2 games, if not more. The Viking game, he misses 2 field goals. We missed a field goal against the Eagles, which changes the complexion of that game. We start the season off with a brand new defensive coordinator, a whole new system, 3 rookies playing heavy-duty minutes in the backfield. And it's been a work in progress. And the only 3 losses we have are to arguably the 3 best teams in the NFL outside of ourselves. And going way back early in the season, we lose the game to the Lions by 10 when we give them a pick 6 right before the half. They only score 17 points, which is their minimal output that they've had the entire year. So I know everybody's different, but the Lions are different this time of year because they've had tremendous attrition in their defensive side of the football. They've lost 6 or 8 guys. They got a couple that may be coming back. I believe we played that first game without Jair and Evan Williams. And gentlemen, the other thing is, we know now, without a shadow of a doubt, that the Detroit is not more physical than we are. We can run right down their throats just like they can run down ours. So the key to the game is going to be, like I said, changing the composition of that game, the way the game plays out, maintaining the ball, getting ahead, getting a key turnover, and having the kicker that makes the kicks. And then we got a heck of a puncher's chance. And I'll tell you, there's something else. There's the psychology of what's now becoming quite a rivalry between the Lions and the Packers. I think you'd agree. Nobody called it a rivalry for a number of years, but this might be becoming our greatest rival, interestingly. And in the last 10 games, we've split the games 5-5. And you'll remember Dan Campbell came to Green Bay a couple of years ago and said, we're not going to the playoffs, but they sure aren't going either. I think we got that kind of an attitude going into Detroit. I think we owe them one. And I think we're going to play a heck of a game. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't really matter, because the game that's going to matter the most is the one that we play them in the playoffs for the NFC Championship. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This would be a big one to win, and it put us in the driver's seat, put us back in position to even think about everything, right? The division, a number 1 seed potentially in the playoffs. So extend that thought one more week, and I think we're in for a doozy on Thursday night. Should be a dandy game. If we can be the ones who make the fewest mistakes, get rid of those pre-snap penalties, and think of this, guys. Smitty, you mentioned that Miami looked like a complete game. We missed 2 huge plays down the field. We had Jaden Reed for a 50-yard play early in the first half, and we had Christian Watson for a touchdown on a 50-yard bomb that got underthrown, and then the ref inexplicably swallowed his flag on an obvious interference call. We hit a couple of those, and you've seen, I'll just finish with this thought because I think you guys might relate to this. Miami came in to Green Bay and said, they are not going to run the ball down our throats. Well, if that's the attitude you want to take, then you're going to be watching wide receivers running by your single coverage down the field, and you're going to have to hope and pray that the Packers do not hit on one of those. If you want to devote those guys to the box to shut down our running game, you better pick your poison. And I think Detroit's going to have to pick their poison, and I'm just thinking that it's our turn to hit a couple of those big ones and see what happens after that.
Schmitty, do you think this determines the favorite in the NFC? I feel like there's a lot that rides on this game for a regular season game, and no disrespect to the Eagles or the Vikings that, are up there in record. But I feel like how do you not paint whoever comes out winning this game is the likely favorite coming out of the NFC? Am I off base?
Well, yeah. Nah, you're not totally off base. I mean, considering the game in Brazil that you can kind of just throw out, the Packers and the Eagles. The Packers played that game pretty closely. The Eagles, I think everyone's had their mind made up going into Thursday. It's easy. It's the standalone game. So come Friday morning, if the Packers win that game, well, now the Eagles are the favorites to win this whole thing, right? And be they're going to represent the NFC. If the Lions win, well, it solidifies their standing. They beat the Packers, who many are saying is like the 3rd or 4th best team with respect to the Vikings. It's this game really sets up the outcome of the end of the season. Now, if we lose this, the Gonculator or the New York Times, we're a playoff team whether we win or lose this game, but giving us that win on Thursday puts a little sparkle in your eye and the thought of, do we have a chance to actually be the crown jewel of the NFC? And if the Packers, Griffey, if they really show up to this game, and I think I agree with Gar. I think this is going to be a spectacular game. The Packers look really, really good right now. Jordan Love is healthy again. I think that this is within a 1-score game a majority of the time. And if the Packers are the ones that come out on the other side of this, that you come Friday morning, the talking heads might think that the Packers are the favorite. So no, you're not crazy at all to think that people are going to think highly of the Packers should they go into Detroit and take care of business.
Schmitty thinks I'm sane. That's pass. That's good. We'll take it. We've been, on a bit of a heater, Dad, you and I, on the picks here. And so I think we should go around the corner and around the horn in the NFC North here, make our picks for this week. I took the opportunity to pick against the Packers, honestly, because I thought it might be the last time we have a chance to do so this year. That's my great hope and aspiration. But let's start off with the return of Kirk Cousins back to see the Vikings. Schmitty, you want this man for 7 years instead of Jordan Love? You better pick him to beat the Vikings. What do you think on that one?
Griffey, the evil twin. That was not me.
Oh, you assume no responsibility. Okay,
evil
good,
twin,
good.
I don't know who that gentleman was. Griffey, no, I still really like Kirk Cousins. He's done a lot. You don't stick around in the league as long as he has if you don't do some really good things. And he knows how to lead a football team. Abysmal game last week. I turned the ball over. I think he threw 4 picks. You can't do that. We were accustomed to that before the last 2 games with Jordan. You can't win football games convincingly if you're throwing that many picks. And so the Vikings feast on turnovers. We're really good. They might be better at it, Griffey, in the Vikings defense. So it's a really tough call. The Vikings are 5.5-point favorites. It opened at 5. I thought the Cardinals had the best chance to beat the Vikings. And I still believe that the Vikings are going to win on Sunday at noon. They're probably going to win by a touchdown if I had to guess.
Dad, what's your sentiment on that matchup?
The glass slipper does not fall off of the Vikings' foot this week. It's going to fall off at the most inopportune time when it can do the greatest psychological damage to our friends to the west over there across the river. So they'll keep the lucky slipper on, pull another rabbit out of the hat. I think it'll be a close game. And Kirk will be back there to do what he can, but I don't think his squad is quite as good as the Vikings. And then they'll have all that. They'll have that yeller horn and that silly chant going on, and Kirk won't be able to hear, and so they'll eke it out somehow. But their day's coming. Don't worry, we'll catch them in the end.
Well, and that one, Schmidt, you told us that's over in Atlanta, correct?
That is no, that's here. That's here.
Oh, that's going to change my sentiment here. I was thinking we had that over. I was expecting Kirk to be doing a little swag surfing at the end of the game. No, swag, regardless of where the game's being played, I think Kirk will find the opportunity to don the chain that he so well likes to put on. And he gets it done against his former team here. Kirk Cousins on the road. I was going to pick him for sure at home. Well, the bank is basically home for him too. He knows what it's like in there. So let's watch them get it done. That'd be a fun one to see him get a little revenge there. All right, we got a matchup. Bears-Niners. Christian McCaffrey done for the year, or at least the regular season. Maybe he could make the playoffs if somehow the Niners were able to turn that around. We won't get ahead of ourselves that way. Can they get by the Bears, Dad?
Oh, boy. Schmitty, I told you that I'd done a 180 on Caleb Williams. The kid's got a lot of talent. He has, in 3 consecutive weeks, found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. You think about that. The Bears very easily could have run the table against the Packers, Vikings, and Detroit in the last 3 weeks. And you get a bump. I don't know who the head coach is. The Niners are down. I tell you what, the Bears get it done this week. Somehow, by hook or by crook, Caleb Williams finally makes a play, and I'm going to go Bears on this one. I'm not exactly sure why, but I said it, so let's go with that.
You're used to seeing orange with the hunting season. I think that's just your color this time of year. Schmitty, what are your thoughts?
Griffey, in my dreams, Caleb Williams came down to me with painted fingernails. He rested his shoulder on me. He said, "Son, I'm free of my chains. I want you to bet your life's worth on me to win the game on Sunday." And so that's what I did, Griffey. I'm already locked in. The Bears are going to roll. They're going to win by 14, Griffey. The kid, 3 touchdowns, like 250 yards against the Lions in 1.5. The kid knows how to play ball. He came to me into my dreams, all the cool colors on his fingers, and he whispered sweet nothings into my ear, and he's going to take care of me for my lifetime with this one single win. God bless him.
Schmitty, I think we need a lock of the week from you every week on this show. And I think you'd be batting, below the Mendoza line for sure on that lock of the week. So just because of that, I got to bet against you. Keep my record up that way. And I'm going with the Niners. Brock Purdy gets it done. His arm is beat up, but he's still better than Caleb Williams. And they don't need Christian McCaffrey. They got Kyle Shanahan. They get it done. And now the big one, guys, gentlemen, on Thursday night here. Heck of a feature. Schmitty, let's have you lead it off. What do you think's going to happen? Bears versus the Lions, Packers versus the Lions.
Griffey, I'm so excited for this game on Thursday. It's like this is the culmination of the season up to this point. We're just looking so good. The Lions are such a good ball club that you get a win on Thursday night and everyone starts talking about you. We've kind of flown under the radar for the last couple months. We were the darlings, the preseason picks for a lot of talking heads, and we're just not getting the respect we deserve because we're third in the division. The people that are just scoreboard and standings watching, we don't make the grade because we're number 3 in a division. So I'm just really excited to get our brand of football out there. Josh Jacobs carries us so far, something that we haven't seen since we were young, in Amon Green and some of these like road grader offensive line. Our offensive line is so good. Tucker Kraft, Griffey, he makes any secondary that touches him, he makes them miss a tackle. He is that dominant. I'm so happy with his progression. Griffey, that Charizard, I can't stop thinking about that first edition base set Charizard that I opened. I was jumping for joy on the sidewalk in front of my house, and I tripped, Griffey. And that card, it scraped along the sidewalk. Literally a pack fresh Charizard just ran the bottom of the card. It looked like an abomination, like my dog had bitten into it. And that taught me, Griffey, that day that we don't deserve good things. Sometimes we're not worthy of good things. And we're not going to be worthy of good things on Thursday. We're going to lose, Griffey. We're going to lose pretty badly. It's not going to be close. And so now the Packers are going to be reeling. And I'm not going to be a very happy boy, be a very sad boy, just like I was that day with the Charizard. So the Lions are going to win 30-13. I am so sad. You are so sad. Gar said the family from Washington. It's just going to be one of those things, Griffey, but we will persevere and we will look forward to next week. We just don't get it done on Thursday, and we got some more questions to talk about.
I think I heard a Southern accent for a moment there. That came out for a little bit. Yeah, good old Southern boy, Schmitty. That could be a character of yours. Dad, what do you have to say to that?
Old Southern boy, what we have here is a failure to communicate, young fella. You got to get some respect for the law. And Smokey and the Bandit with Jackie Gleason giving you the Southern Sheriff's accent there. But Schmitty, you're channeling your inner Kirk Cousins. And I thought we had gotten him squared away, Griff, but apparently we're going to have to get the electrotherapy out.
You called it a number of weeks ago. I thought that would sink in for him.
I know, like we don't give up. We don't give up on Schmitty because he's a yo-yo, and every now and then he needs a hug from Nana, and she hasn't been over there to do that, so we're just going to overlook a thing or two. But the Packers are going to win the opening kickoff, win the toss of the coin. They're going to take the ball down the field, take 5 or 6 minutes off the clock. They're going to score. They're going to get into the lead. They're going to get a key turnover, and they're going to play with that lead, and then the Lions are going to come roaring back to take the lead with a couple, 3-4 minutes to go. And on the thrust of Brandon McManus's right foot, we are going to lift the ball over the uprights over the crossbar between the two uprights for a 33-31 victory over there in Pontiac, Michigan, and thrust ourselves into the conversation for the elite in the NFL, the National Football League. If we don't win the opening toss, then that's another ball game.
All bets are off.
Yeah.
Well, I like the imagery of that, Dad. I can see that ball going through the goalposts there. But I hate to tell you guys, I think Schmitty is right. It's going to be 30-13, but he's got the team wrong. The Packers get it done. This is an easy one for the boys. I think Matt LeFleur doesn't lose in December. Now, we had a couple hiccups in recent years. Let's forget that. Let's just remember the spirit. The sentiment is Matt LeFleur doesn't lose in December, and we're going to keep that sentiment alive this season. So, any closing thoughts for us, gentlemen, as we head into the big Thursday night matchup? Schmitty, what do you have?
Griffey, I would love to see Lucas Van Ness, this be his coming out party. I think if Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary figure out a way to bust through this offensive line, the best one in the league, that definitely bodes well for us. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. If by some divine miracle we do end up winning this game, Griffey, Friday is going to be a snow day in the Schmitz household. I will meet everyone wants. I'll probably end up just sleeping at Derek's house, and I'm going to go straight down to the bar. So if anyone wants to meet me in Minnesota, come find me. Drinks on me. We're going to have a good time. We might build a snowman. I'm still looking forward to this game, even though I think it's going to be an absolute disaster. Packers fans, rise up for the occasion. It's going to be a hell of a ball game.
Dad, any closing thoughts for us this evening?
Now, we've been down on a few of the Packer players, and every time we have singled one out for an egregious error, they have lifted themselves into the heights of magnanimous play. Quay Walker, Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary are a few of the gentlemen who've been able to do this. Now, we have a young fellow by the name of Dontavian Wicks that's been in the doghouse. And you're going to see Dontavian Wicks looking like Alan Lazard, taking people's heads off in the running game with crackback blocks here and crackback blocks there. And then all of a sudden, he is going to crack back like a little sluggo crack, and he's going to be down the seam. And you're going to have a big play out of Mr. Dontavian Wicks when he hauls that ball in and rumbles and stumbles and bumbles into the end zone. And I got today my favorite cheese, the Colby Longhorn. Go Pack. You can't go wrong with the Colby. We got her done.
I want to see Dontavian looking like Devontae Adams, but we'll settle for Alan Lazard, I guess. A win is what we're looking for, boys, and I hope to join you next week after we have another one in the W column.
Go Pack.